hope you can hear the idea of this is, number one, Dean asked me to do this, and I do about anything for Cofers except die. And I had a line after that, but I won't use that. But Stuart and I have been friends forever, and Stuart hired two of our children, Matt and Susie, and they both worked there out of college and high school. And Stuart and I have been involved. We got involved with the, how many know the Oconee Connector project where we planted 651 trees? Stuart was on that committee with me and several other people, and we actually got the county commissioner involved. This is kind of when I think life is good in a community that cares about everything. Quality of life, we'll say, the greater good. But we started off with about 12 people in the committee, and at the end we had 3. And that's pretty much, everybody wanted their name on it, but they kind of disappeared. But the county commissioner, John Daniel, who some of you know, John actually, and the landscape architect, Ken Bell, actually went with me and Stuart to tag trees. So we actually hand tagged almost everything that's on that project out there. We used a lot of natives. We went to Southeastern, went to Moon Tree Farm. We used, who else we used there? We didn't use actually, Stuart got involved with dogwoods. We went up to Tennessee to get dogwoods. He couldn't find dogwoods around here. So it's in its, what is it, Bonnie, 3rd year now, I think. And I think it's a magnificent entryway or portal into Oconee County, and it kind of says, we care. And I thought a lot about Atlanta Highway over the years, how they've tried to do things. You remember Fred Gerlach? And they were planting pears, and you guys know the story on Bradford pear. What do you think of Bradford pear? They stink, or worse than that. My humor's not working today. They fall apart. So the reason you're here is to hopefully learn something about hydrangeas. I've been in Georgia for, what are we, Bonnie, 42 years, 43 years? I guess, yeah. Long time. We've been working on hydrangeas for actually longer than that. I came from the University of Illinois. Had a great run with the students, with technicians, with my fellow faculty. Still involved with the horticulture farm. And we had to give you a little background, that's Butch. Butch, come out here. We had a plant breeding business. Former student of mine, Mark Griffith, who graduated in horticulture from Georgia, and Jeff Beasley, who owned, anybody know Transplant Nursery or heard of Transplant Nursery up in Livonia? Anyway, we started plant breeding business in about 2007. And we had a great run. We had about 60 patented plants. We actually sold it in 2015 to Bailey Nursery out of Minnesota. And then we had a 5-year non-compete. And as Dean knows, we started back up on January 1 of 2020. And we're back at it again. And you know what the number one crop is? Say something out there. Hydrangeas. You know why we're interested in hydrangeas? Because they're the number 2 selling flowering shrub in the world. And we have our plants actually all over the world now. But after roses, they're, as I said, number 2. So let me take you through this little handout I put together. I had a good time kind of thinking this thing through. And it reflects, you're welcome in our garden. We have 3.5 acres. We're down to about 1 7/10 now. We gave our daughter a couple lots, but there are hydrangeas everywhere. Anybody notice what happened this year with the freeze, the 22-degree freeze? There was some crisping of leaves, etc. Well, you can buy something called Remay. Have you ever heard of Remay? R-E-E is not on your list. R-E-E-M-A-Y. Go online. It gives you about 6 degrees of frost protection, sometimes a little bit more. But we would have lost our entire breeding crop, which consists of 400 selections from last year, had we not covered them with Remay. It's a spun-bonded, I think it's rayon, and spun-bonded fabric. It's white. And Bonnie and I just covered, again, 3rd time this year. We're supposed to be 30, 36, something like that tonight. So, you know, if you want to grow hydrangeas, particularly Hydrangea macrophylla, you literally have to be prepared, I think is a good way to do it. And to put tarps and plastic over it doesn't really work very well. You can use sheets, cloth, but certainly Remay is cheap and it's effective is a good way to put it. Okay, the first plant is, we don't have one for show and tell here, but it's Hydrangea arborescens on your list. They told me I got to stay here because there's a mic, so I can't move. Arborescens is, number one, it's a native species. And how many have ever hiked Rabun Bald in North Georgia? You know what you walk by? Hydrangea arborescens in quantity. It's everywhere. It's so thick, it's almost like a monoculture underneath the largely oak trees as you proceed up to the, anybody know the elevation of Rabun Bald? 4696. We're getting 4696. We're getting close to a mile. It's absolutely a beautiful hike if you haven't done it. I've taken Bonnie 3 times, and she will not go. She'll not go again. Anyway, Arborescens are native over much of eastern North America and actually running across the Mississippi River, Kansas and Oklahoma. It's one of the hydrangeas that flowers on both old wood and new growth. So you had your pruners up here. Did you take it away? So I'll show you what you can do. When you're thinking about hydrangeas coming through the winter, the best thing you can do is do nothing and wait till they leaf out. And when they leaf out, it either tells you they're alive or they're kaput. And Dean could show you some damaged hydrangeas out. If we've got a little time, anybody wants to walk along, I'll take you a walk outside after this is over. But the best thing is just to kind of clean them up and get them ready for spring. Level them off a little bit. Don't go crazy until the leaves have actually emerged and are visible, which means that the plant is alive. And with hydrangea arborescens, the first flowering occurs in typically about mid-May to June. And if you want to, you can actually, and we've done this at times, I can give you an exact date. We've cut them back on July 15th, and this is hundreds of hydrangea arborescens on July 15th at our shop. We're out in Oconee County. We're off Antioch Church Road, and I'd like to invite you out, but I can't for various reasons. But they flowered again in late September into October with full force. So it's one of the plants that you can literally, I don't want to whack this thing up because you might want to sell it, but I'll do it anyway. You don't care if I get one branch off here. But that's all you got to do is a little clip back. And by the way, this is a viable cutting. You can actually root this, but you can't because it's patented, right? We got to be careful on what we give away today. There's, I don't know if you have any of these, and no arborescens yet come in?
Not yet.
How many have heard of Annabelle? What's Annabelle? Big, white, glistening mop head, right? It's been around since the early 1900s. It's still one of the best. But it has a tendency to, what's it do? Flop. I got a great audience out here, you guys. I like those words. Key words are like flop, stands upright. So now we got an introduction called, well, I'm really hoarse today, one called Incrediball. Anybody hear of Incrediball? Incrediball is a stronger stem. It gets big. It still gets 4 or 5 feet tall. Usually Annabelle is smaller. But again, Incrediball has the same features of the species. And I love to, when I talk, I like to walk around, but I'm trapped by this goofy mic and this thing in front of me. One of the great things about arborescens that it's a pollinator plant. There was a study out of North Carolina State where a student sat in the woods up near Highlands, North Carolina, and counted and identified the insects that landed on the flowers of Hydrangea arborescens. And he ended up with 52 species of insects that actually visit the flowers and extract pollen or honey or whatever. So, if you're thinking about, some people will never give a hydrangea credit for being a pollinator plant, but it is. And then kind of jumping here, another recent introduction in about the last, I'd say 10 years, has been the pink flower types. Anybody hear of Invincible Spirit? Any of those? Invincible Spirit 1, 2, Invincible Spirit Ruby, Invincible Spirit, what am I missing, Bonnie? Garnetta, Mini Mavette. Those are all pink ones. We actually started the breeding for pink flowered arborescens at the University of Georgia, my technician Vicki Waters and I. And I said, I think we can do this, Vicki. We started in the late, like 1995, 98. And in 2007, we hit our first mop-head. And unfortunately, North Carolina State beat us to market. And we had one introduction called Bella Anna, which is almost as red as your Georgia hat out there. Unfortunately, it got bacterial leaf spot, and it got canned. So if you're looking for a pink-flowered arborescens, it'll do the same things I mentioned. Then you can go with the Invincible Spirit. Those came out of Tom Rainey's breeding in North Carolina State, and they've been introduced through Spring Meadow Nursery, which is up in Grand Haven, Michigan. Okay, and one of the better things about arborescens is cold hardy to zone 3, and it's adaptable. It goes all the way to zone 9. So, but it needs, where are our best performing arborescens? Shade, shade, shade. Put them in full sun, the flowers can bleach, they can cook up, they can brown. They look wilted, dried if you don't get enough water on them. And we have ours in shade, and I guarantee you that's where they belong, at least in this part of the world. You go to New England, you go to Minneapolis. When we were working with Bailey, we'd fly them to Minneapolis, St. Paul. You drive around Summit Avenue, anywhere around the Twin Cities. What do you see? Annabelles by the zillions. Where are they? In full sun. Why? They're in zone 5-4, and we're in zone 8-8 here. So a big difference in heat. Okay, number 2 is Hydrangea macrophylla. You want to grab that one and put it on the table there, as my loyal assistant? This is the lead sled dog for all hydrangeas. It's native to Japan. It's a maritime species, typically 3 to 6 feet tall. I've seen them, I've been in England numerous times, seen them up to 10 feet tall. But the problem is, what happens every year, almost every year? Early fall freezes, late spring freezes, boom, they get knocked back, and no bloom, no flowers. We started working on this again at the University of Georgia. We got some good people at UGA. Vicki and I said, Vicki, I've read enough books about hydrangeas that I know they do rebloom. Could we breed a reblooming hydrangea? So we started the whole thing at UGA in the 95 to 2000. And the first one was actually a found cultivar up in Minnesota that ended up being called Endless Summer. And that was the first one. That was Endless Summer, the original, which is okay. It's sold right now. It's sold by itself 22 million plants. It's amazing. It was introduced in 2004, and the patent is running out, so that's the end of it. But what Bailey Nursery did, they gave the university a dime a plant. So multiply 10 cents times 2.2 million. What do you come up with? That's a lot of research dollars. It goes into our research foundation. So Vicki and I kept plugging along, and then came Blushing Bride, which is one of Bonnie's favorite. We crossed Endless Summer with reblooming genes, signed Veitchii, which is a white lace cap. We got a white pink to a light blue, kind of a Carolina blue mophead. It's still I think it's one of the most beautiful hydrangeas we've ever bred. It does not flower as heavily as the next one down the line, which was Twist and Shout. We crossed Penny Mac times Lady in Red. I know this doesn't mean a lot to you, but I'm kind of taking you through the sequence. We get better as we go along is a good way to put it. And we came up with Twist and Shout. Anybody know Twist and Shout? Twist and Shout's you've sold it for a while, yeah. It's either a mauvey pink or a blue lace cap. Very, very nice, good flower. Then we said, hey, this looks pretty good. This is a good rebloomer. We grew 260 some seedlings from Twist and Shout, and we got bloomstruck. And my partners and I'd love to be walking with Jeff and Mark, Jeff Beasley and Mark Griffith. We're walking through our container area, 263 seedlings, and this is October. And we go, what is that? And there was one plant that had tons of flowers, strong stems, red stems, as you can kind of see from looking at this. And we grabbed it and we said, this is it. This is the mother lode. And it has become the mother lode. It became bloomstruck. So this is one of the best rebloomers. Then we crossed it again. We crossed it back to one called Hot Red, and you've got Summer Crush out there. And so now we got another one called Pop Star, which has Twist and Shout in it. So what we're trying to do, just to kind of keep it somewhat short anyway, we're trying to increase the amount of reblooming genes in each generation. And we're building a better mousetrap. And this is a pretty good mousetrap. I think this is probably one of your better. If you want to chime in anytime, go ahead.
No, it is. We sell that one a lot more than the original.
Is that right?
Yeah. Because it comes out with so many different colors.
Oh, yeah. It's kaleidoscopic. Is that a good word?
Yeah.
Also on this, if you cut this back, it will bloom. You can see the number of flowers on here. So this is kind of I got to go back here, I guess. This is kind of a grower's dream, and it's also a retailer's dream. And you can see the flowers aren't gigantic, but they're strong enough to hold the stems upright. So that's Macrophylla. Macrophylla, you mentioned mildew before. I don't worry about mildew too much. I worry more about Cercospora, which is a disease that looks like leopard-like spots. It's Cercospora. And we tried to breed away from that. We did a good job with a bloomstruck, less so with the original. We don't have an original End of Summer in here. But I think these are 20% off.
They are.
You want to go higher? 20 is good. 20, 25? 22? 20?
You can go 25.
25% today.
Yeah.
Can I work for you guys?
That's right.
I bet anyway, we have, I don't know if I got them both. You got them both in here? Yeah, there's one called Azure Skies and there's one called Rock and Roll. Rock and Roll is a moped. Is that God talking to me or that? Rock and Roll is a moped sport of Twist and Shout. Twist and Shout is the most cold hardy. It's all over New England. It's everywhere. We've seen it in Maine. How many places? Flowering in September, October. It's amazing. Anyway, this is a moped sport. Beautiful. You can look at the tag if you like. And we patented this. Blaine and I patented this in 2019. And this is Azure Skies, which if you keep your eyes open, you too can hit the jackpot. This was found in a garden in Georgia, and I was able to secure cuttings. We patented it. And if you take a look at the tag, that's a picture of the original plant. It's unbelievable. There's so many flowers, you can't see the foliage. And the name is Azure Skies. And I just got an email. We licensed Greenleaf Nursery in Oklahoma to grow it, and another nursery, there's several nurseries up north. And I got an email from Colby Davis, who runs their new plant program. He said, wow, 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 wow. We just love this. So anyway, you're better off with one of the rebloomers or remodels. And I think if you look at Cofers, we went from all these French hybrids and Merit Supremes, and they all die back. We don't get any bloom. At least you got a chance. I think what the rebloomers offer you is hope, and for the most part, pretty good success. And I think the bulk of what you sell is probably Endless Summer, Proven Winners. I mean, you can agree or not agree. Either way.
No, you're right. And the good thing about that Azure Skies, the blooms go all the way to the bottom. Like, they come out, it's full. The blooms start at the bottom. They just cover the thing.
Yeah, it's
even in the pot, it's...
Oh, it looks almost too... Can you have too many flowers on one?
No.
I asked Bonnie that the other day. I won't tell you where we bought a hydrangea at... I said, that's enough. I had about 8 flowers on it. Be a lot of foliage, but that's enough. And then sometimes I think you can almost overwhelm the plant as far as energy production because it's all going into the flower and not vegetated. But when it sort of has what I call eye candy appeal. When you look at it, you go, throw it in the cart and take it home. Okay, we must move on because some of you have your heads heading towards the spaghetti. And I used to have a lot of students who had their heads in the spaghetti. Remember that? I got arthritis so bad as an old man I can't open up a page 2. I got it. Okay, Hydrangea paniculata. You got one of those. You want to grab that, Dean? I think that's one. This is if you're looking for one hydrangea that's easy to grow, this is and also a macrophylla. Flowering time, again, is typically mid-May into June and beyond. This is one of the, which one is it? You got one of paniculata. Well, this is Berry White. It's one of Bailey's introductions. Paniculatas are native to Japan, China, and Taiwan. They kind of languished for a long while. The only one that was ever grown to any degree is one called grandiflora, which has a big kind of cone head, horse head type flower. How many have driven by Dillard House in summer? Anybody have? What do you see on the entranceway? What do you see behind the? This is it. Hydrangea paniculata. It's everywhere. Well, the breeders got busy, and they figured out that everybody doesn't want a 15-foot shrub with big flowers. They want things with smaller. We want more color. So typically on paniculata called panicle hydrangea, they come out green, they go to white, they may go to pink with cooler weather. And this is one, Berry White. We have Berry White at our shop, and it's been pretty good. It's not small. It's still 6 to 8 feet or so. But the newer pink ones, the newer small ones have really caught on. Bobo has been good. I mean, I think you sell Bobo or you got it now. Bobo is a small one, 3 to 5 feet tall. And the good thing about these, they're cold hardy to zone 3 and heat tolerant to zone 8. They need a chillar. Anybody know what a chillar is? What's a chillar? It's the amount of R's accumulated between 32 and 45 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's applied to fruit crops left and right. You need a certain amount of chillars to grow an apple tree, a blueberry bush, or anything else. And unfortunately, you don't need any for macrophylla. We have essentially put them in a greenhouse, and they grew a couple hundred chillars. Is probably really all you really need for commercial production of macrophylla. 750 to 1,000 R's on this. We've had about 1,300 R's this year in Georgia, so keep that in mind. We're fine with this, but you don't grow this in Central Florida. You grow this, and you can grow this in Orlando, Florida. But easy to grow, zone 3 to 8, as I mentioned. I got a lady named Colleen Zacharias who writes she's a horticulturist. She writes for the Winnipeg Free Press in Winnipeg, Saskatchewan. And she said this and arborescens, which I mentioned earlier, are the only 2 guaranteed performers in a cold climate. And that's another reason this is taken off now. Paniculata is second to macrophyllas. It flowers on new growth, so if you want to prune it, whack, 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 whack anytime you want to whack. It's freeze resistant, frost resistant. And I don't know what varieties, cultivars you have in so far. You obviously got this. You got Bobo yet?
We got Bobo. We have that one. We have Limelight.
Limelight is the old standard.
Limelight Prime.
Limelight Prime's good.
Yeah, the one that turns pink.
Yeah, let me just mention, nobody gave 2 hoots about hydrangeas before, for the most part, before Endless Summer came in. We were growing all the French hybrids, and they were dying every year. And you sell 10, you sell 100. In 2000, this Limelight that you just mentioned was patented in about 2001, and that became the biggest selling paniculata of all times, and that created interest. And then Endless Summer came out in 2004, and that created interest. And now everybody is throwing hydrangeas at the wall, hoping something will stick. But it's a changed market. It's unbelievable what good genetics have done to kind of help the cause. If you're going to buy one of the pink flowered forms, or you're going to grow one of the pink flowered forms, that will go from this green to white to pink. They need a cooler night temperatures or they don't color. We have tried almost all of them at our shop out on Antioch Church Road in Watkinsville, and the pink is not there. This so-called berry white has been better than most, if I can say it that way. So frost-resistant foliage, easy to grow. We got them from when we were in Germany, IPMS and the Horticulture Show, International Horticulture Show in Essen, Germany in 2019. We're walking the aisles, and I'm seeing paniculatas now that are listed at 2 feet tall. Well, that's about 2 feet tall. There's one called Little Sleepy. I didn't put the name on it, but it's amazing what the breeders are getting. So it's almost too small. And by the way, I'm waxing poetic here a little bit too much, and maybe you can't stand it, but we had a visitor in Monday, get my days, Tuesday. Peter Van Riesen from Concept Plants in the Netherlands. And Peter was talking about what's going on in Europe with plants. They want everything that can grow in a 2-liter pot. Well, this is a 3-liter pot. They want it small. They want to put as many on a rack as they can, and about 35 to 40% of all hydrangeas sold are for floral use, for containers, for balconies, because people are crammed in. They want the hydrangea. It's a disposable kind of plant. You just don't keep it around. I think when we buy them, obviously, we're thinking garden use. Occasionally, certainly, you can use it for table decorations. But it's interesting to hear the difference. And we're working with Peter, too. We've moved. He took about 20 plants home with him. He's already got these 2 in Europe. So there's a lot of interest in the reblooming hydrangea concept in Europe. So it's been kind of fun. Okay, next, and I saw serratas out there. I don't know if you brought a serrata in, but did you bring a serrata? You got tough stuff?
Yes.
Yeah,
You said you brought it in.
I saw them. Let me find there's a question. There's red that oak leaf there. Okay. I got to quit ordering you around. You may fire me. You've already done it.
Go grab it.
Yeah, I'll put it.
Let me grab it. Tough stuff.
Serrata?
Oh, there it is. Tough stuff.
Oh, that doesn't look very good.
No.
Did I hold that up or not?
Well,
No, I saw some good ones out in the far reaches. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
This is oak leaf. This is native. This is native to Georgia, Louisiana, Tennessee. What am I missing in there? Alabama, the biggest concentration. We used to go to Birmingham a lot, and we drive down I-20. When you start heading down the escarpment into Birmingham, what do you see? Left and right, it looks like light bulbs are in the wood. It's one of the earliest to leaf. It's one of the most frost-resistant foliage types. The 22 degrees didn't bother at all. The 22 degrees didn't bother Paniculata, arborescens, or quercifolia. It beat the heck out of macrophylla, and it also hurts serrata to some degree. But it flowers on old wood. So when do you prune it? After it flowers. You prune it once. And don't start whacking on it, because most of the flowers are born terminally, and you'll lose it. It has beautiful bark. It typically grows on well-drained soils, usually on slopes above streams, etc. I've seen it in West Georgia. I've seen it down in the Apalachicola River Valley of Florida. So it's an amazingly great native. There's big ones on campus. We've recorded them as being Reed Hall triangle or quadrangle. Not a triangle, it's a quadrangle. Anyway, they've got some big plantings over there, and they're leafed out sometimes fully leafed out by the middle of March. So it's a great plant for texture. Fall color is what? Burgundy, red. Beautiful fall color. Stems have this cinnamon brown kind of coloration, exfoliating bark. And you're never going to sell as many of these as you do. The sales numbers go macrophylla, paniculata, arborescens, quercifolia, and serrata. And it's about 80% macrophylla, paniculata, and then it dribbles on down from then. But the fact that, which one is this?
Alice.
Oh, this is one of ours. Hey! It's not ours. Everything belongs to the University of Georgia. When you work for the University of Georgia, you sign a contract that says, if you find it, I own it. Meaning UGA owns it. And I've been in lawsuits. I've been in court. And the attorney who defended me for the university said, if you took one nickel, he said, we will not defend you. And when they got done spending money on this, it was totally frivolous. Didn't make any difference. They spent $300,000 protecting Mike Dirr and his family. And that's how crazy it is. So be careful. Anyway, this is Alice, which came off our campus. It's still the #1 selling. It's big, 12 feet tall, gigantic. still the number one large flowered hydrangea quercifolia. It's hardy from, actually they can grow this down in the Mobile area. You can grow it up in Boston, Massachusetts. So big range. I'm glad you got this. They also have a new one in a new double I saw called Snow Sickle, which is a double if you're interested in a double. But Alice, for longevity and ease of grow, ease of culture, is one of the best. So a couple things to remember: don't prune it in the winter because you're going to cut off the flower buds. Prune it after flowering. Flowering again is usually late April, May into June. If flowers will go brown, particularly in hot weather. And again, for us, we got 2 snow queens in sun. What do they look like? Trash. We got a whole mass of snowflakes, shade with the arborescens. They look great. So I'm telling you from my perspective and the work we've done, shade is important. You can probably do it on the east side of the house, north side of the house, but you put them in full sun, you're asking for, especially when you go away for a vacation for 2 weeks. When you come back, they'll look like kind of like cooked spinach. Yeah, it doesn't do anybody any good. Okay, serrata is next on the list. Do I hold this up? Nobody cares about serrata to any degree. It represented this nursery I was going to give you the numbers on, sells 280,000 a year, and the total percentage of serratas that are sold are 0.7%. So, however, the Spring Meadow people, Proven Winners, came out with a new series called Tough Stuff. Have you ever heard of that? You have it on your list. Tough Stuff. There's Tough Stuff. There's Tough Stuff Red. There's Tiny Tough Stuff. There's Tough Stuff Aha. We've grown them all, and they're pretty good. I don't know why this looks like this. This probably was carried over winter. Was this carried over? They got some new ones out there that look good. The best one of the bunch is Tough Stuff Aha. These are supposedly rebloomers. I don't see any rebloom on them. They're marketed as rebloomers. In fact, to sell a hydrangea, macrophylla, or serrata these days, what do you have to do? You have to tell them they're rebloomers. Otherwise, they're not going to sell. But if you're looking for something typically more cold hardy, it's about zone more cold hardy. So it'll take you up to zone 5, zone 6. We've seen them on Cape Cod, and they're absolutely beautiful. The one called Aha, it's Hydrangea serrata, Tough Stuff AHHA. I can't even get it out. But anyway, that to me is one of the most beautiful, and also I won't say it's the hardiest. I think the original Tough Stuff. This is the original Tough Stuff. It looks a little beat up, but they got better ones out there. We've grown all these. We've blued them, and they're very, very pretty. Again, the pruning is the same as it is for macrophylla. Be careful. Don't wait till it leaves out. And you won't see many serrata. Anybody got a serrata in their garden? Yay! How's it doing?
Okay.
Good. You know which one?
No, it was when it first came out, and I actually moved it to our new house, and it transitioned beautifully.
I may need to come over and see if I can get a few cuttings from you. If it's don't laugh. If it's here. I tell them the story on rock and roll, but I don't think it's a good idea. And okay, is that a key? My wife and I it's after dinner. We're about to fly home from Bradley Field up in Hartford, Connecticut. We're somewhere up there. We're walking, and there's this big sea of twist and shout. And I mean a sea. There's 70 plants. It's right by anyway, big sea. So I look in that big sea of lace caps, and what is there? A mop head sport. And I go, and pretty soon I'm in the bushes, and we have cuttings, and we test it, and it tests positive. And the next thing you know, it's introduced. Now, you want to fill that anybody?
You do that illegally. They gave you permission.
Oh, I got permission? Oh.
You dived in the bush.
I forgot about the permission. Okay, so that's mountain hydrangea. That's probably more than you know on that too. But I'm almost there. I took a lot of your time, your tomato time away. And I wasn't going to do this, but I think it's kind of worthwhile mentioning. You didn't show them the goodies we have for them either.
No, not yet.
Okay, you want to hold that till the end here. There's a couple of vines. Anybody have hydrangea pedicularis, the climbing hydrangea? Anybody? Hey, good, great. I love the plant. I hope yours is flowered. I've had it for how many years have we had it? Since 2012? How many flowers have we had? None. Yours flowered?
Ex new though, not yet.
Okay. So, but it's an early leafer, and then if you look on here, I want you to verify this for me. I used to use students as verification. You see all those little things coming out there? Those are roots. And it has root-like holdfast. You're laughing. I could plant this by his shoe, and it would climb right up him and literally stick to him. It's called
like that old English ivy.
You got it. Yeah, exactly. Almost worse than English ivy one. But it's absolutely beautiful. And it literally, back to my station here in life, it literally has to climb the flower because it formed this three-dimensional sort of woody structure. And it's beautiful in flower. Has a flat, up to about a 10-inch corm. It's flat top. Sepals are in 4s, and it's fragrant. Has a honey kind of fragrance to it. The bees just love it. I mean, well, if you could find one to flower, but this is the only one you have on the site, I think. And I think I bought my original one from you guys. I think it came in from Monrovia. But you selling this today to some lucky patron?
Sure.
Okay. How much?
20% off.
20% off of what? Okay. I don't know. That's the only one you got, though, I think.
Didn't you say 25%
But
off?
that's the only one we have.
That's the only one I have. So it's down to, we're down to 20 now. So this is Hydrangea pilearis, common hydrangea. When do you prune it? You prune it after flowering.
So you've never pruned it.
No, actually, it's actually tearing the fan. It's tearing the fan. You're smart. One of those smart students. You don't get a lot of those, especially in the front row. But we have trimmed it a little bit. It's kind of eating the fence. I got a, what is that? A aluminum cast iron fence, some kind of fence, whatever it is. It looks nice. It just doesn't flower. Okay, we're winding down. You've been a great audience. Soon you'll be able to go home and let me move things around here. This is you want to grab that one and I'll thank you, assistant, loyal assistant. I didn't know they had this until I came over wandering around. I spent a lot of money on Cofer's over the years, and occasionally Dean gives me a break, and occasionally a break. But this is a plant called Schizo. Repeat after me. It's on your list. Schizophragma. Say it. Schizophragma hydrangeoides. That sound like a prayer meeting, boy? How does that sound? Pretty good. Anyway, it's called the Japanese hydrangea vine. It's very, very similar to Hydrangea pilearis. It's totally confused with it. I've read books, I obviously haven't been there, where they actually grow together in Korea and native to Korea and Japan. And this is one of the variegated forms. I don't know the name on this one. You know the name off the top of your head? But the normal form is green. There's one called Moonlight. Anybody got Moonlight?
Lacy Hearts.
Lacy Hearts, Moonlight. The difference in this, it has a big flat-topped inflorescence, but instead of having 4 sepals, it has 1 ovate sepal. It again is a true clean vine or climbing vine, not as rampant, I would say, or not as prone to as many roots as this. So we have this on a wall at home. We have this on the fence. We have another hydrangea relative called Decumaria barbara, which is a native hydrangea, and they're all going boom, boom, boom. They're going up at least these two. This is going up the wall. And what I did today, that kind of, it doesn't kind of end it. It's almost painful to keep you guys tied up this long. But what we did, this is important. You ready?
Yeah.
I don't know how we're going to do this, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, what can I say? You hold that for me. We'll stand. We're going to be together for a second. These are little Schizophragma hydrangeoides Moonlight. They are cute. And we grew these from seed from Coach Dooley's garden. So you have a Coach Dooley plant. There's 31 left. Somebody stole one out there. You notice that? Yeah. How that happened. But these were started back in give you an idea how slow they go to start off. Back in November, I sowed the seed. It's a good root system. But you can put them in a bigger pot, and or you can just plant them out if you want to. But you can see the vine, it's already starting to do its thing. And this is the one I mentioned that has the big 10-inch flowers with the single ovate sepal. And it'd be interesting what you get out of it. So Moonlight is one that has kind of a gray foliage leaf instead of a shiny foliage leaf. And there they are. You can decide how you're going to distribute them. Let me just mention this. This is worth looking at. I mentioned a lot of people got interested in hydrangeas, and this was a study that was done at Mount Cuba Center for Study of Piedmont Flora. It's up in Greenville, Delaware. Yeah, Greenville, Delaware. And I went up a couple years ago to take a look and visit, and they put about 29 cultivars of hydrangea arborescens together. and they produced the brochure. Just came out. I got my jelly, my toast, my jelly. I read these in the morning. You see how my jelly stuck to the. I'm not kidding. But the pictures are great. They rank these things. They got to rank for pollinator visits as well as quality of performance. The number one was Haas Halo, which is lace cap. Number two was Lime Ricky, which I think
Coming in.
you said you have
Yeah.
coming. And they talk about all the parts. This is a good primer or primer for any hydrangea because it shows lace caps and it's available online. You can go type in Mount Cuba, type in hydrangea arborescens, or you can order. I had extras. I couldn't find them. This is my jelly donut one. So it was my wife's shaking her head. That's not good. And before I quit, I haven't sold anything today. But during the pandemic, I wrote a hydrangea book back in 2004, and it sold pretty well. They phased it out. I decided during the pandemic that I would write a pandemic hydrangea book. And what happened? I was going to post. This is an example in entrepreneurship that went south, real sideways actually.
Yeah.
You don't have to hold that book.
Well,
Unless you want, we'll figure out how to give them away.
Yes.
But anyway, I found a lady, Megan McCoy, who works for Ag Extension as a designer. She laid out the book for me. I thought she did a great job. 540 pictures. I printed it locally, printed at Greater Georgia Printers out in Crawford. And it's all the new material with well over 200 new hydrangeas since the 2004 book. It talks a lot about breeding. It's Bonnie did, I'll show you my wife's good handiwork. I'd say great handiwork. Hang on a second. I'll find it, Bob. That's one of my wife's drawings. So we've been I love you, you know that. We've been a great team. We've had, and she loves the garden, which has really been great. I mean, we've been married 53 years. We've been 53. Anyway, we had a great run from graduate school. We got married at the University of Massachusetts. We had a house in Illinois, and down here, and then we're up in North Carolina with our youngest daughter for health issues. And we always had a garden, and it kept us bonded spiritually and mentally and physically and any other way. I'm not trying to sell you on the joy of gardening, but there is that. And almost every night, I'll be working on a computer, and I'm retired, sort of retired. You never retire from this thing. You never do. Anyway, take a walk. I said, fine, we'll take a walk around the garden. And it's that last sort of soul-fulfilling experience before you go to bed at night or before you do the next thing. So anyway, this is we ended up. I was going to sell it for what, $25, and I decided I couldn't market it. So I went back with the Stice Publishing, who did my manual wood landscape plants. And he said, "We think this is a great book. We're going to charge $45." So that's what it is. It put a $45 price tag, but it's selling. So it's on Amazon. And then we got a hardbound copy that's $55. But it was a labor of love, and I think it's meaningful. Anybody's interested in hydrangeas, you got a few for sale in here somewhere. And but that's kind of it. I hope I didn't. Nobody's got spaghetti sauce on their nose. So it's been a good run. Okay, Dean, all back to you.
Wait. Any questions
Oh,
for Dr. Dirr?
Yes.
Yes, we have one right here.
oh,
I was at your house a few years ago,
you were at our house?
a couple times with Gwinnett Master Gardeners. You talked about a magnolia that you were developing, Riveting Rosie.
Yeah, you got it?
No, I can't find it. When it was patented, was its name changed?
We didn't patent it.
You didn't?
We just put a trademark on Riveting Rose. That long story on that. Somebody gave me a seedling way back when, and it turned out it had this most beautiful pink flower. Did you see it in flower?
No, I've seen
Okay, yeah.
pictures of it. I've
It's semi-evergreen, and I've got to produce some more cuttings. I had a whole bunch of plants we gave them away because nobody seemed interested. Hillary Thompson, one of my students, started cutting-edge plants and had a mail order firm, and then she and Mike decided they didn't want to do anymore.
Okay, 'cause I did look there.
Okay, they canned it. But for you, I might work a deal. I got one big one left, and at our shop, and I got a bunch of little rooted cuttings. Give me a name and a card, and anybody that asks such a good question deserves more than an answer like I get.
Well, I've been looking for it ever since and it's probably been, it was before COVID, so 3 or 4 years ago. I was at your house 2 different times.
Yeah, what's nice about it is it's a hybrid, but it flowers in May, so it avoids spring frost. Magnolia started off great this year, and then boom, the cold got them. And now the yellow ones are coming out, Lois and Elizabeth and some of those. But magnolias are kind of a roll of the dice every year, and this one avoids the frost. That's the one when you look out from the deck or your art window or kitchen window. It's just a beautiful goblet pink flowers. Good question, yeah.
Question. Yeah.
So my question is, I'm new to gardening. I just retired and finally have time. And you talked about the leopard spots. Can you talk a little bit more about that, how to treat that? And then can you propagate? How do you propagate hydrangeas? Like I had something that kind of looked like a new baby plant last night when I was covering, and it really wasn't. It was attached.
Yeah.
But I took it out of the ground and put it in water.
Okay, let's start with Cercospora, which is what you're looking at. When we look at the leopard spots, it's a fungal disease that usually manifests itself starting pretty much in July, and there's ample moisture around, the humidity. It becomes even worse. And you can spray with a fungicide, but you got to get there ahead of the spots, because once it's there, it's too late. So suitable, I think, I'm not sure what you guys are selling. I don't want to recommend something I don't know will work, but Heritage is something we use. But what you had a systemic you were talking about. You want to get it?
Yeah.
Talk about it. So you can treat them. It's kind of visually debilitating, but it doesn't kill them. And but you're looking at something that can look really unsightly. So you got to point, or try to avoid, get away from the old time French hybrids that are unbelievably susceptible, and try to go to some of the types like Blush and Bright is clean, Bloomstruck is clean. What do you got?
It's a liquid systemic fungicide. You can use it on all plants, trees, anything, grass. Just water,
You water it in.
Yeah.
That might be a
Will that treat anthracnosa too?
piece. What?
Will it treat anthracnosa too? It's the other
I didn't get
variety
it. What was
of.
the question?
Yeah, tree. And
You got to read the label.
yeah, you gotta read the label. So, powdery mildew, black spot, gray blight, rust, leaf spot.
We'll look that up for you. Any other questions from the
Wait a
crew?
minute, we had half of one here. On propagation, I was going to show you quick, and nothing's quick, but it'll be quick. You can do it two ways. You can do it by, let's see, what I had. A little longer leaf here. Make this work better. You can do it by hardwood cuttings. In fact, we've got hardwood cuttings from Iowa. We ship hardwood cuttings to the Netherlands, and they're usually 6 to 8 inch long. So it's a bare stem. It's in the wintertime, usually January. Take a stem about that long, stick it in a well-drained medium like bark in a 3-gallon pot or whatever you have, and you can actually leave them outside, and you can put a bag over them if you want to, and they will root for you. You'll see. But leave a node. A node is where the buds are attached. Leave a node above the container. I wish I could demonstrate it, but I can't. And that'll do it. The other thing to do is just take. These hydrangeas root extremely easily. You can take a little cutting, and I wish I had more of a stem, and just stick it in a well-drained media. And if you can somehow keep it out of direct light, bag it. You might have to syringe it now and then, but these things will root in 2 weeks to 4 weeks, so they're very quick to root. So it's one of the easiest plants. And the other thing you mentioned, you were talking about looking at a stem. I think they'll layer. You can lay them. Just put them on the ground. Take a stem, lay it on the ground, put a brick on it, cover it up with a little organic matter, and then the following year, if you do that now, you do it this year, and then in 2023, sometime February, March, just sever it off, and the roots will be there. You can transfer it to another spot in the garden. So there's multiple ways to propagate a hydrangea, especially macrophyllus and serratus and arborescens. I shouldn't be telling you that because he wants to sell.
Yeah.
He wants to sell you. Okay, you want to wrap this up?
Well, do we have any other questions? This is a great group. Yes.
Just a quick question. Does the serrata refer to the shape of the leaf or the flower petal?
Actually, that's a good question. The leaf, generally, because they all have serrations around the margin, but a lot of the serratas also have what's called a decal or a serrated sepal. Like, I never thought about that. The second part that I just threw out there. It's certainly the leaf, hydrangea serrata. That's called, it's called mountain hydrangea. It only occurs in Korea and Japan. I didn't go through all that. It's on your list there. But I've seen pictures of it. Nobody asked me, will a hydrangea grow in water? It's like in a stream bank or a swamp or whatever. And I've never seen it, except I saw pictures in the Japanese hydrangea book, which is all hydrangea serratas, where it's actually growing in a stream with running water. So I don't know, maybe serrata. I never tried it to see if I could kill them or whatever, but it might actually take more water than most hydrangeas. As Bonnie can tell you, one thing to look out for, in the summer months when we get above 80, 85 degrees, what happens to hydrangeas? Even if the water, leaves start to flag. And there's nothing you can do except wait for cooler temperatures until they come back. we had to just, I mean, so many experiences I could throw out. We had a buyer for Home Depot, Freddie Lang, who works for him 29 years now. He said, Mike, he's been out to our breeding shop. He said, I would like you guys to breed a hydrangea that when I put it on the shelf at Home Depot and it's in the middle of spring or summer, that it doesn't wilt. And how many of us would ever think about that? But we have one called Irish Land.
Oh, yeah, but that doesn't even look like that.
Don't say that.
Oh, sorry.
But so little subtle things that make a difference to you, the customer. I mean, if you go out here and see a plant that's wilted today, you're going to buy it, or you're going to buy one that's robust and turgid and looks healthy. And it's the same kind of thing. It's psychological in a way. The plant's probably okay, but that damn heat will really cook them up.